Hello, class. We will now move to the topic 2 of our subject in assessment. So topic 2 is about teaching, learning, evaluation. Now, there are stages of teaching, learning in which educational evaluation is integrated. One, clarifying objectives. That is, you must know your target. You must see to it that you understand what you are aiming for and focus your attention on that particular objective. Then you have to set clear objectives, decide exactly what you need mentoring on before looking for a mentor. What's your objective and what does success look like in the end? And by so doing, you can have absolute clarity of your target. So meaning, whatever motivates you or whatever are the objectives, it should be the clear target and it would be arrived at the end of a certain teaching learning process. Second stage of teaching learning in which educational evaluation is integrated is identifying variables that affect learning. So what are these variables that may affect learning? So it could be biological influences, including the genetic predisposition of a person, the unconditioned responses, the adaptive responses. Then psychological influences, previous experiences. Would it be traumatic or was that inspiring? The predictability of associations, generalization, and discrimination. With the contribution of these two influences, learning is still possible. Then, with the influence of the social culturally learned preferences from previous experience, the motivation affected by presence of others. So these are the summary of the factors affecting the learning. So we have to consider these things because they would affect the process of learning among these students. The third stage of teaching learning in which educational evaluation is integrated is providing relevant instructional activities to achieve objectives. So there should be instructional activities. So you cannot just let the students do whatever they want. You must give them guideline. So remember, the SMART, it should be specific, details exactly what needs to be done. Then it should be measurable, meaning achievement or progress can be measured. Then achievable or attainable. Objective is accepted by those responsible for achieving it. Then realistic. Objective is possible to attain, no? Objectively realistic. And time frame, no? Time frame or time bounded. So the time period for achievement is clearly stated. That, say for example, we teachers giving an activity, we would set a deadline, and that is the time bound for that particular activity to be passed. The fourth stage is determining the extent to which the objectives are achieved. No, the extent, what is the goal? Is it achievable? We have already talked about the SMART. Then after the starting point, what are the things to be considered for you to succeed? The thinking, the analyzing, the planning. Then if ever you fail, try again, do it again, keep on going until you will attain the goal. So in that situation, you can say that the determination of the goals that you are setting is achievable. Then you can say it is successful. The three important functions served by educational assessment. So the purpose of assessment and the purpose of evaluation. In assessment, its purpose is to increase the quality. No? You assess so that there would be room for improvement. For the evaluation process, it is already the judgment. So meaning to say, after the assessment, trying to modify things in order to increase the quality, maximization of ideas and knowledge, here comes the evaluation. And that is the time for the judgment of the quality. So too short and not enough leave. So for example, during the assessment period, it's up to us. In this situation, you are flowering the plant, you are cultivating it, you are giving care to the plant. Then at the end of the given period, it's time to evaluate and it's time for judging. No. Okay. Then the first important function served by educational assessment is student selection and certification. So make decisions about which students get admitted. That is in sectioning. Usually diagnostic examination in schools during the opening of classes is used for the determination whether who among the students should be put on section 1 or section A. So placement. No? But then it started with diagnostic. So retained, promoted, and certified for graduation. So student selection. So you can be this one. You are picked out from the rest of the students to be awarded, or you may be kicked out from the rest of the class. So you fail. Okay? So the second is instructional monitoring. Provide information about student learning or teaching performance to help teachers monitor, manage, and make decisions about the instructional system. So instructional monitoring, including the lesson design. No? So what you should do. So gain attention, provide input. No? So it is where you have started. Then you have your performance. No? After the input, you will do it. Then provide feedback about the performance. Then assess the performance. And if it is necessary to repeat, repeat. The third is for public accountability and program evaluation. So our assessment is not only self-serving, not only for the students and the teachers, but for public accountability. Why? Making decisions about the different aspects of the educational process is helping make good decisions if they provide accurate, authentic, reliable, and valid information about educational learning goals. Like, for example, the result of the LET board. If ever we have produced a number of students passing, successfully passing the board examination, that is our merit as well. You are happy that you pass. We are also happy, but because that is our accountability. So if ever nobody would pass the board examination, still it is our accountability. How did we manage the lesson? How did we manage the teaching learning process? So when we say public accountability, there is an evaluation of the program, no? From the administrative, the service utilization, how did we serve the student tree? What is our report in social media? Then, what we have contributed to the society. Okay? So educational assessment always begins with educational values and standards. It should be accompanied with values and standards. So the professional standards, including the professional values and attributes, and then the professional knowledge and understanding. Remember in my first discussion, attitude, attribute, and then the skills, then you have the soft spot. That is very necessary for attaining professional standards. You have the skill, you have the skills, and you have the values, and you have the knowledge. Combining all this, you have a very soft spot, which is very important for the development of your personality. So assessment is not an end in itself, but a vehicle for attaining educational goals and for improving in this educational system. Okay, so The principles of educational assessment. So in the first discussion, there were principles of educational evaluation, this time assessment. Principle 1, assessment should be valid. So it is very important that you have to give a valid assessment. So validity ensures that assessment tasks and associated criteria effectively measure the appropriate level. It should be that it measures what is it to be measured. No? So valid assessment, if there is a deficiency, there is a contamination, so the true facets of learning and the actual measures collected, the valid assessment lies at the center. No? So contamination and deficiency, then valid assessment is at the bottom, at the center. Principle to assessment should be reliable and consistent. There is a need for assessment to be reliable, and this requires clear and consistent processes for the setting, marking, grading, and moderation of assignments. So we have here reliability, a measure of consistency. A very good example for reliability is supposing I was giving an examination, then I left the class because I have an urgent thing to attend to. So gabiyaan mo na ko, I'm giving the exam. Then upon coming back, I collected the examination, checked the papers, and have your scores. Then because there was a gap, there was a time when I was not inside the class, so wala ko kahibaw. Di ba mga milagro during the time when I was not there. So if ever I would give you another set of exams, same exam, pero naan ako closely monitoring you, and then after checking, you have the same, you have the same score or higher score, that is the time when I could say your score is reliable. Your first score is reliable. However, the reverse is true. After giving giving again the same set of examination and your scores are getting low, or worst, somebody got 0 or many of you failed, then I could say the first set of scores was not reliable. So that is an example of the principle of reliability. Okay. Now, third principle is information should be explicit, accessible, and transparent. Clear, accurate, consistent, and timely information on assessment should be made available to students, staff, and other external assessors or examiners. A very good example for this is during Quiz B. During intrams, if you remember, spelling contest, general information contest, there is an accurate, a clear, and consistently timely information. So after giving the allotted time, the examiner would say, boards up, and right there and then, everybody could see the answers of each contestant. So it could be corrected right away. The scoring is transparent. So meaning the clear and accurate, the accessibility of the facts. So there is transparency, and at the same time, there is a timely information. So meaning explicit, accessible to all, it is open. Then the fourth principle, assessment should be inclusive and equitable. So without compromising academic standards, inclusive and equitable assessment should ensure that tasks and procedures do not disadvantage any group or individual. So inclusive, meaning anybody who is capable, not capable, anybody who is part of that particular assessment should not be deprived to take the assessment. And it should be equitable, meaning those who have the right for access of that particular assessment, they can participate. So the inclusion movement and classroom, the inclusion beliefs, the student belief, including everything that should be considered. The fifth principle, assessment should be an integral part of program design. So assessment tasks should primarily reflect the nature of the discipline or subject, but should also ensure that students have the opportunity to develop a range of generic skills and capabilities. How? How could students develop the opportunity for a range of generic skills and capabilities? So we have to provide scaffolding. Scaffolding. So you teacher or all the teachers would be the model. And then mostly teachers should be the guide, or particularly in that particular group or organization, there should be a guide, a coach, an advisor. Then later on, gradual release. So mostly student, no? From the guidance of the teacher or the coach or the advisor, the teacher should pass, no, the responsibility to those students who have the capacity of leadership. And after that, there would be independent aspect, and that would be contributed by all the students. No? So meaning to say, at first, giagak-agak pa sila, then later on, hinay-hinay, no? Then hangtod nga, mapasagdan na sila because they are reliable. So from the start to finish, the principle is it should be integral. No? Starting from the molding up, hangtod nga they are ready to be left alone. But not necessarily, kanang quote na ha, not necessarily the ultimate meaning they would be left alone. There should be monitoring. Dili pwede nga pasagdan yun ang mga bata. Okay, the sixth principle is the amount of assessment work should be manageable. No? Kanang kayahon lang ba? The scheduling of assignments and the amount of assessed work required should provide a reliable and valid profile of achievement without overloading staff or students. That is why if you remember a few years back, nga giving of excessive assignment was discouraged by the DepEd. But I am not really convinced that not giving an assignment, no, all subjects throughout the week, no assignment. I am not in favor with that, especially in the basic ed. It is necessary that there should be a reinforcement. That is why in our school, no, I used to tell the elementary teachers that you should take turn in giving assignment to the students. Kung pwede, dili tanang subjects mahatag og assignment on the same day. Kay aron nga dili pud ma-burden ang mga bata iniguli sa ilaha. No? So dili pud maayo nga wala pud sila himuunon nga buhatonon kay do you think that they are productive upon going home? Magsige ra nagduwa. No? So they should be responsible not only in the school but as well as in their different homes. So manageability of assessment across the program, have you avoided log jams for students and staff? Bitoy po uban nga grabe maghatag assignment. Okay, chapters 5 to 10 Ginoo ko, no? Then pag human wala discuss sa exam. Dili na maayo. Then have you mapped out marking time necessary? No? So giving gaps, giving markings, allow the students to rest for a while. Ayaw pud nga everyday ka mahatag og assignment, no? Or kung naamang galing, usually ang uban no, at the end of the period, especially labi na gyud ng mga math, no? Angay gyud naagi after discussion of a certain topic, naagyud na ay kanang check up or assignment. Then aron nga mag-gauge sa teacher nakasabot na ba gyud, so that ang result of the assignment or the kanang quiz at the end of the period is the determinant whether you will continue to the next topic on the following day. So wala problema sa mga theory subjects. Okay, you can read the book, you can research, no? And especially kung yan aning recorded, you can view and review once again, no? So can you access the necessary rooms, equipment, and software, particularly for exams? So kani, this is an example. can you review everything? So can you access equipments and software? So the moment we started, there were those who were not able to view right away. Then it was because of the software, not yet ready. Then can you comfortably meet university requirements in terms of exam boards moderation? So meaning if you will transfer or you will have a postgraduate in other schools, especially universities or in the big cities, are your knowledge in the undergraduates sustainable enough for you to sustain in the postgraduate? So actually the answer here is it's up to you. It's up to you how serious you are in your studies, especially this time. No? Especially this time when you have to really hands-on to all the resources available. The modules, the lectures, the researches. Try to search in YouTube and so many other resources. These are available. It's up to you to upgrade yourselves. We cannot say that we have done 100% of the task. No, we will come to that later. So we cannot give you assurance that 100% of the topics are being discussed by us thoroughly. Much more, we are not assured if you are 100% really listening to us or really participating in our classes. Okay? Principle 7, formative and summative assessment should be included. So I have discussed thoroughly in our first session about the formative and summative. These are very important part in the evaluation process. Formative and summative assessment should be incorporated into programs to ensure that the purposes of assessment are adequately addressed. Many programs may also wish to include diagnostic assessment. So generally speaking, the formative and summative are being administered by schools, both private and public. Then diagnostic, in fact, lately diagnostic is incorporated. Because usually placement could be, diagnostic examination could be utilized for placement. And summative as well could be used for placement. After the result of the summative examinations, it could be the determinant for giving the honor roll of the students or the pupils. So see, formative and summative. Formative is really very important because that is a day-to-day activity. No? So here, gibalik gid nako the importance of formative and summative. When? Informative before or during instruction. But summative is the end of instruction, usually in a longer period of time. Purpose, guide the teacher for formative, guide the teacher in planning and improving instruction, help students improve learning. No? So meaning makadetermine ka, ay wala ko kasabot kayo ani. So maka-reinforce, no, makahatag og reinforcement ang teacher. Ay wa day mo kayo kasabot aning dapita. So I will give you another example. I will set another idea so that you can grasp the content. On the summative, purpose niya, let teachers and students know the level of accomplishment attained. No? So marami naabot na to. No? Okay, then principle 8, timely feedback that promotes learning and facilitates improvement should be an integral part of the assessment process. Students are entitled to feedback on submitted formative assessment tasks and on summative tasks where appropriate. The nature, extent, and timing of feedback for its assessment task should be made clear to students in advance. Do you still remember in your elementary and high school when you are drafting informal theme? You are given a topic, then you have to develop that particular topic. So basically sa elementary, my family, o diba, my favorite pet, my most embarrassing experience and all others. Then mag-anam po na siya og kanang ka-concrete when you will reach high school, no? Mga mas kuan ba? may expectations na magawas na. So higher order thinking skills, we are developing the students in that way. Then, di ba, you are passing it to the teacher, then after a day or a week, it will be given back to you to nagpuwa-puwa na, nag-lipstick na, kung parahay patanghal, dadaghan nag-lipstick sa aon, lamiam ng imo gamay ra lipstick. Kay ang mga red ink pen, mautoy nag-correction, including our grammar, our punctuations, no? Our subject-verb agreement, everything. That is kanang giving of feedback. Kanang giuli ang mga test papers, you will know asa ang imuhang sayo. No? That is the time when you can review yourself. You can say, wa nga ani uy nanundog ko nimo sakto man aho ang erase, see. So just like that, even if the teachers would not give rationalization, you yourselves could rationalize your own paperwork. No? So timely feedback, it is very important for the response, at it will give you idea. Teachers could advise based on the results and the rating. Then you can comment, you can have your own opinion. Okay? Principle 9, staff development policy and strategy should include assessment. All those involved in the assessment of students must be competent to undertake the roles and responsibilities. For example, ang inyong encoder, basig na ay estudyante nga amigo sa encoder, unya gipadadaan ang estudyante og copy long time ago, kaan pa man, stencil pa man ang mga exams. Even kadtong bitong ang stencil paper, wa man to'y print pero imo nang ipaluhak, imong ipatungod-tungod nimo sa kanang nay suga, mabasa nimo ang examination. Bisan ang mga stencil papers, in fact, inadto pay uso sa mga exams, typewritten, onya naka-stencil, na i-roll na siya para mag-produce na sa mga test paper. Secluded yun ang room, no? As much as possible, secured ang room in such a way nga bisan ang mga waste papers dili gyud na makagawas kay the tendency sa kanang mulik ang mga exams, no? So staff development, including everyone, including the janitors, the guard, so daghan ang mga ma-involved in the determination of the reliability and validity of an examination, no? So each and every one, no, who are involved in the assessment of students should undertake their roles and responsibilities. So the general guidelines of conducting an assessment. So kuwangan general guidelines of conducting an assessment. 1, clearly specifying what is to be assessed has priority in assessment process. Di bitaw na mo yung okay, our examination is scheduled on ana. There are teachers nga mohatag, not necessarily mangyud nga mohatag og kuan pointers. No, it should not be pointers. It should be topical from the book. It should cover ana. But then bisan pag di mo ingon ang teacher, especially in college, you're responsible enough kay ba mo asa dapita ang gi-discuss ninyo. But for preciseness, ang ay gyud pud ang teacher man for the reference book, you can study ana. And you may give a link, teacher. Pwede ka mahatag og link nila, so it's up to them kung ni-study sila sa link nga imuhang gihatag, no? So one way of determining is kung unsa imong gihatag nga mga link sa mga bata and at the same time references, pagkuha pod og topics nga tuwa didto. Kaya the next time, no, mahatag kag link, unya jamon sining gawas bisag isa ka buo question gikan sa link. May man jud mga bata hago lang magbasa sa link, dili pa man gud nila ma-appreciate nga ang purpose nato sa link is for, no, reinforcement, scaffolding of their knowledge. So sa sitwasyon karon bitaw nga pandemic, in my undergrad class, maghatagan ko og link sa mga estudyante. Kay this topic, for instance, I could not be assured nga perfect ko nga di-discuss. There might be other people nga mas nindot pa kay ni-discuss na mas concrete pa ang ideas that they have propagated and they have given to you. mas makasabot mo nila kaysa nako. Say for instance, so dili selfishness on the part of the teacher nga muhatag unta og additional links sa mga students. So kamo no, you are mature enough. You can research, no? You may research further. Say for example in my subject, no? Insura ning i-type, isud na dito sa Google, pangita mag mga PowerPoint na mga discussion dito or sa YouTube. There are other people who could discuss and maybe mga experts na sila, mga scholars na sila. So the effectiveness of assessment depends on what to assess. Tinuod, no? Whatever are the things to be assessed and clearly specifying the intended learning goals. Then another or the second is an assessment procedure should be selected because of its relevance to the characteristics or performance to be measured. So there should be a direct or indirect relevance. No, there is connection. So assessment procedures are frequently selected on the basis of their objectivity, accuracy, or convenience. No? Then the third, comprehensive assessment requires a variety of procedures. So kung comprehensive siya, there should be a variety of procedures. No? Kung skills ang imong i-assess, it should be that the determination of the success of the assessment, it should also include the place, no? Asa, og machinery for instance ang imong i-assess or ibutang ta ari sa cooking or ari sa sewing or other skills, no? So kung ingon ni ana ang imong i-assess, it should be that you could provide the venue. So no single type of procedure can assess the vast array of learning outcomes. Dili gyud dominated by only one way of assessment. Multiple choice and short answer type, measuring knowledge, understanding, and application outcomes. This is in assessment for examinations. No? Essay type, ability to organize and express idea. So an essay is part of the HATS, no? Higher order thinking skills. Project, for instance, formulating and solving problems, no? Accumulates information, collection of data. Then observational technique, performance skills and various aspects of student behavioral. And then this one, self-report, interest, and attitude of students. So it is also incorporated attitudinally, no? It is necessary that we should observe the students' attitude as well. Then the fourth is proper use of assessment procedure requires an awareness of their limitations. So I also mentioned earlier about limitations. There are limitations. So sampling error, chance factor, the guessing, no? In multiple choice examination, naagyod ng guessing, no? Singgutot. Subjectivity in scoring, errors in judgment, and observation devices. Munang lately, we are devising the rubrics. You will understand rubrics later. Part na sa assessment. So no score on an educational assessment should be treated as totally accurate. But a keen awareness of the limitations of assessment instruments makes it possible to use them more effectively. Use them more effectively. So the cruder the instrument, the greater its limitations, and consequently, no? Consequently, the more caution required. So, okay. Then assessment is a means to an end, not an end to itself. So assessment is best viewed as a process of obtaining information on which to base educational decisions. So these are the guidelines or general guidelines in conducting guidelines. Okay, sorry, no, ang coherence, general guidelines on conduct, on sabana. So sorry for that. Nasipyat ko ana, general guidelines of conducting an assessment on sabana. Sige lang, sorry for that class. So we are through with the topic 2. So end of topic 2. Let's have time for a break. Thank you. And our third topic would be historical development of measurement and evaluation. So we will end up here. We will continue later.